HTVRONT just sent me this AutoPress and I can't wait to open this box with you. We'll see how it performs and I'll be giving you my honest review of this product. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Nisha. Welcome to Little Craft Nest. Let's see what's in this box. So we have our product manual right on top, and it looks like they sent us a Teflon sheet, which will definitely come in handy. So we've got the AutoPress out of the box, so let's plug it in, and we've got a pretty long cord here, which is great, so it'll be able to reach your outlet. And I'm just going to peel this protective layer off the screen here because we won't be needing this. And let's go ahead and take a look at all these control buttons here and see what they do. So right here we have our power switch, and that's blinking on and off right now. So let's go ahead and press that. Ooh, and it just lifted up. That's pretty cool. And here we have our temperature and our time and our plus and minus buttons. So this will help us set our temperature and our time. This R right here is our start button, and it is red right now. So that means that our AutoPress has not reached the desired temperature, and when it does reach the temperature that it is set for, it will turn green. This right here is our mode button, and it comes with 4 pre-selected modes. So if we turn this to mode 1, it is set at 300 degrees for 15 seconds. Mode 2 is 320 for 15 seconds. Mode 3 is 330 for 20 seconds, and mode 4 would be 390 for 40 seconds. So you can use one of these pre-selected modes if you wanted to. So I'm going to turn this back to mode 2 for now, which was 320 for 15 seconds, because HTVRONT also sent me some great material that we're going to be testing out as well, and that is the recommended temperature is the preset 2. So we'll see how that works with the heat transfer vinyl that I will be using. Now this middle button here is a custom setting. You can make 2 of your own custom settings, and this button here turns auto on. So if we were to press that, you would see a little A here on the digital display screen. So that means auto mode is selected, and we can press that again and it'll turn that off. So basically what auto does is if we were to pull out our tray and put our material on our tray, as soon as we close it, it would press down. So we will go ahead and test that as soon as our red light here turns green. So if you want to go ahead and make your own setting, which I will be doing for a sublimation project we will be testing out today, you can go ahead and hit that middle button, select temperature, and then we're going to use these arrow keys to go up to our desired temperature. So we are going to go up to 400. So we're up to 400 degrees here, and then you can change the time if you wanted to and adjust the time right here. We can go up higher or lower, but we're going to keep this at 20 seconds. And you can see it flashing here, and when it stops flashing, that means it's been set. And the current temperature that the heat press is at 374. But the first project I want to do is the HTV project, not the sublimation project. So I am going to go back to preset number 2, and we will test that out. So right now we have a green flashing R here, so that means our AutoPress has been set to the correct temperature. So we are going to pull open this drawer here, and I just love the size of this. This is a 15 by 15 inch plate, so we have lots of space here to be pressing your large t-shirts on. And it has this heat mat here, and it is strapped to the base here with some elastics. So I have this cotton polyester tank top here that I'm going to make. So let's put this on the tray. Now, I don't like that. I can't get my fingers underneath there to move the straps back more. I feel like if I did that, I would burn myself. So let's put this on the tray sideways so I don't have to put anything at the back end of the heat press. So I've got the shirt on here. Let's actually turn auto on and see what happens when we close this drawer. So I'm going to select auto. Let's push the drawer in. Ooh, and it started all on its own, and you can see the countdown there. But I just want to do a quick pre-press. I don't need it to press all the way through. So you can go ahead and press any button on the machine and it will stop the process. So let's pull this out, and we've got a nice press on the shirt there. And this time I am going to turn auto off. So I'm going to click that A. And now the auto selection is off. So I've already cut this design out with my Cricut machine. The vinyl I am using was sent to me from HTVRONT. Now I have not used their vinyl before. When I was cutting it, I was afraid it didn't cut all the way through because I could barely see the lines. But once I started weeding, it weeded like butter, and I was really impressed with the weeding process. So let's see how this does on the shirt. Now their product is a cold peel, so we're going to put it on and then wait about 45 seconds afterwards before we peel our carrying sheet off. Now I first need to find the center of this shirt, so I'm going to quickly do another quick press here. So let's fold this shirt in half and line up those seams. This is just going to help me get an idea of where the center of this shirt is. So I am going to slide this under here, and auto isn't selected, so it didn't go down by itself. So we're just going to press the R, and I'm going to press it again, and I should have a nice crease mark here. There's my crease mark showing me where the center of my shirt is. Now, one thing you'll notice, this heat press automatically adjusts the pressure itself. So you can't do that manually. There's no place on here to say I want more pressure or less pressure, but we'll see how it does when we put the heat transfer vinyl on the shirt and how well it sticks to it. So once again, here's my design. I am just going to fold this in half, trying to find that center. And we'll line up those center creases with the center creases on the shirt. And I like to be about 2 or 3 fingers down from the collar. All right, let's go ahead and test this out. And it automatically finished and opened up once the timer was finished. Let's pull out the tray. And I don't want to peel this off quite yet because it is a cool peel. So let's just let this cool down for a minute. Now, one thing I notice is that if you touch the top here, it's actually cool. Like, I don't feel any heat up here at all. So that's a really good safety feature. If we were to touch this right here, it feels a little warm. It's not super hot at all, so you can't burn yourself on that. But you do not want to put your hand touching those heat plates underneath because that's where you'll burn yourself. Another great safety feature that this auto press has is that if you're not using it for 10 minutes, it will automatically shut off. So if you walked out of the room because you got distracted by your dog or one of your kids, this is going to shut off by itself, so you're not going to have a fire hazard on your hands, which is great and wonderful, especially if you have little people running around your house that distract you quite often. Okay, this is feeling cool now, so let's go ahead and peel this off and see how it did. All right, it is stuck on there really well. It looks good. I did notice when I was peeling the carrying sheet off, I felt like it was kind of pulling at the heat transfer vinyl and slightly wrinkling it just a little, but it looks really good. And one thing I also want to test out is layering HTVRONT vinyl. So they also sent me some really fun chameleon vinyl. So this changes from blue to purple. So let's try to layer this on top and see how that does. Now, before I go ahead and do that, I notice right here I do still have a few wrinkles in the vinyl from the edge that I pulled from. The rest of it looks fine. I'm hoping when we put it in the machine a second time, maybe those wrinkles will go away. So we will find out. And let's go ahead and give this another press. All right, we're going to let this cool again and see what it looks like after we peel it off. Okay, it seems to be cool now, so let's pull this off here. And there it is. Now those wrinkles that I mentioned earlier did come out of the top, so that's good. But with this chameleon vinyl here, I noticed that it almost seems to have bled or something because there's this dark line going around the vinyl. I find that kind of weird. That has never happened to me with any other type of vinyl before. So I'm not sure why there's that kind of bleed line going around. I do like the look of the vinyl. It feels really cool, but I just really don't like that bleed line because it makes the edges not look so crisp. But it is still a cute shirt, and I think my daughter would definitely wear this summer. One thing I wonder is that maybe with the chameleon vinyl, if I turn down the heat just a little bit and maybe the time a little bit, maybe I wouldn't have got those bleed marks. So I will do some more experimenting with that and see if the chameleon vinyl turns out better. And one thing I just noticed I totally forgot to do because I was so excited about layering this. When you do not have a carrying sheet covering all your exposed vinyl, especially when you're doing layers, you should definitely put a Teflon sheet on top just to protect your heat press and also the vinyl. But thankfully, my second piece here, most of the carrying sheet was covering most of the vinyl, so I didn't have an issue with that. But just for future reference, don't forget to use the Teflon sheet or some parchment paper when you are doing layers. So now we're going to try out a sublimation design, and I'm going to put it on this cute little pouch here. It's one of the Cricut infusible ink pouches, but we can definitely do sublimation on it because it's 100% polyester. And I am going to take a piece of butcher paper. We're going to slide that inside, and that's just so that our ink from our sublimation design doesn't go through onto our mat or the other side of our pouch here. And then I have my design here, and I've added some heat resistant tape onto it. So we are going to take this right on top. And then we'll also need another piece of butcher paper to put on top to protect our press from the ink getting through. So we also need to change our settings on our press for sublimation. So earlier we made a custom setting, so let's press that middle button, and it says 400 degrees for 20 seconds. We actually want 60 seconds, so let's adjust that. Let's press the time and bring that up to 60. So now we're at 60 seconds at 400. Our light is flashing red, so we'll just wait till this turns green, and then we will press our sublimation design and see how that turns out. So that didn't take long at all to reach our desired temperature. We are at 400 degrees for 60 seconds. Usually the heat press can take anywhere from 4 to 6 minutes to heat up to your desired temperature, and that's when you're starting from a cool plate. So because it was warm already, it took super fast to heat up to our 400 degrees. Let's go ahead and press this and see how it turns out. So we'll push the drawer in until it clicks, and then press our green button here. And it's done pressing, so let's pull the drawer out. And it looks like my paper that I put over top is not on here anymore. So I'm looking underneath and it actually got stuck to the top and it fell down. So I'm going to carefully just grab this. There's my paper. So next time I do this, I'm going to tape down my paper to the mat so it doesn't lift up on me with static electricity and stick to the top of my plate. Now, we don't have to wait for this to cool before we take it off, but make sure you're not burning yourself, so make sure it's cool to touch. And let's peel this off. And there is our design. And we can take this piece out. And look how cute that is. So there is no issue there with pressing that. Now my mat here has some press marks in, like from the zipper. So this machine pressed down rather hard and there's no way for you to adjust the pressure setting. So if there was a way to adjust it, I would definitely do less pressure, but you can't do that with this machine. And I got some indents on my mat here, but I'm sure if I put this in again and pressed it with nothing on, it would take these indents out. So let's try that quickly. I'm going to slide this back in and we're just going to press this down. And I'll leave this here for about 20 seconds. See if we can get those press marks out of the pressing mat. Let's open this up. And most of those marks are gone. It's slightly there, but I'm sure that will go away with time. So it does have a really strong firm press, which is great for heat transfer vinyl, but just be aware with any texture material that you put on here, you might end up with some indents in your pressing mat. So I really wanted to see if I could get this chameleon vinyl to work without it bleeding. So I have recut out some flower designs that I'm going to put at the back, at the bottom of that same tank top I was using. And I have changed the time and temperature setting. So we are now set at 305 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 seconds. So let's see if we can get this chameleon vinyl to look right. Now I find when I place this down on here, it's curling up my shirt a little bit. So I'm going to grab some heat resistant tape and hold that down. All right, so we're going to let this cool before I peel that off. But so far it looks good. I'm not seeing any weird bleed lines on it, which is good. I'm wondering if the bleed lines were because I layered it on top of another vinyl. Maybe that's why I got the bleed lines, or it could have been because the temperature was too hot. But I'm glad I'm not seeing those weird bleed lines anymore. So let's take a look here. Okay, it's feeling cool now, so let's peel this back. And there we go. That looks so much better than the front. So HTVRONT actually recommends that the temperature be between 305 and 320. So the first time we did it at 320 and this is at 305, and it turned out much better at the lower temperature. Here is the front again where we had those weird bleed lines come out. Not sure again exactly why that happened. I'm going to have to do a bit more experimenting, but I'm glad I got it to work this time. And I actually really love the look of this vinyl here. So let's turn this off and talk about this auto press a little bit. So one of my favorite things about this auto press are the safety features that it has. On my industrial looking heat press, I have burnt myself a few times because my hand hits on the hot plate above it. However, this one has the slide out drawer, which is great, and you have such a big surface area here. Now, I don't like that I can't get my hand back there, and those collars would be tricky to stick at the back, so you kind of have to turn your shirt sideways if you're wanting to do that, depending on where the design is going. but I really love that I'm not going to be worried about getting burned with this press. I also love that it has the automatic shut off after you're not using it for 10 minutes. That makes me feel really safe, and the top is cool to touch, which is great as well, and I'm not afraid I'm going to burn myself with this machine. I also love that you can make your own custom settings, or if you're just doing one project at a certain temperature, you don't want to make it that setting, you can go ahead and just set your machine for that time just by turning it on and then adjusting your temperature and your time. It's also a very easy to use machine. There wasn't a whole lot of guesswork. Once you do a quick read over of the manual, it is pretty straightforward and not a complicated machine to operate. Another thing I like is that I don't have to use my muscles to put my press down like I have to do with my clamshell press. Sometimes when I'm doing something with really firm pressure, I'm feeling I'm putting a lot of my weight on it in order to close that up. Also, if I use one of my easy presses, I put a lot of my body weight on that. This, you don't have to worry about that. So if you're not the strongest person, or maybe you have some medical conditions that prevent you from being able to apply a lot of pressure to a heat press, this heat press would be great for you because you really don't have to use any muscle at all for it, except for if you're moving the heat press around because it is a heavy machine. That being said, it is still lighter than my clamshell press. So if you have someone move it to a stationary spot, you don't have to move it again, and the machine will do all the work for you in terms of pressure. Now, after saying that, I do love the automatic pressure, but I also don't like that you can't adjust the automatic pressure manually. So you can't go on your machine and say, I want more or less pressure. Depending on your projects, you may want to manually do that, but you can't do that with this machine. I haven't had any issues when it did auto-select the pressure, but I'm wondering if that's something I will encounter in the future when I want to use a whole lot less pressure and my machine is giving me too much pressure. I do hope to try the HTVRONT Auto Press on many more materials. I'd like to try it on coasters. I'd like to try some more sublimation with it, and there's just so many other possibilities. So if you want to see me use this press again, make sure you are subscribed to this channel and that you have hit that notification button so that you don't miss a video. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments, and I hope to see you on more crafting adventures.